Hello there everybody and welcome back to Movie Squirm. Today I'm going to be doing another ranking video and this is going to be the Alien franchise ranking.
I'm ready, man. Ready to get it on.
Now I have been going through all of these movies through the past couple of weeks, including the Alien vs Predator films. I am going to include them in this ranking even though it isn't really canon to the franchise, but there's still some xenomorph action in there. So why not? It's just a little bit of fun. We've got 9 movies to go through here. And I've got to say, I have had a great time with this franchise. I do actually think now it is probably the most consistent horror franchise out there. I know for years a lot of people have said Scream and The Evil Dead are the most consistent, and I do agree with that. But now I just had a much better time rewatching all these movies, and I liked virtually all of them. Even the last couple that are on this list, whilst not being great, I still got a kick out of them. So there's no movies on here that I hated or anything like that, or I thought were bad. You know, I got some enjoyment out of all these films, put it that way. So with the latest Alien Romulus coming out and me reviewing all of these movies on the channel, bar the Alien vs Predator films, I thought it'd be nice to do a ranking at the end. So if you do want to check my reviews out for the first 7 movies in the timeline, then they will all be in the link down below, along with some other rankings that I've done on this channel. So let's just get into it now. In 9th place, coming in 9th place, we do have Aliens vs Predator. Yes, the first movie out of that 2-movie franchise. Don't worry, I will talk about the second one in this video very soon, but I just gotta say, this one was a little bit too ridiculous for me. Now, don't get me wrong, Paul Thomas Anderson is a director who makes these type of films. I mean, he's made all of the Resident Evil movies. He's made Mortal Kombat, which I actually do really like. He's made Monster Hunter and stuff. So he was kind of fitting to direct this film, I think, for the ridiculous feel that it was going for. Now, it is a fun little setup, having these predators who are sort of teenage predators, I believe, making this hunting ground on Earth underneath the Antarctica, and they have to go and kill a load of xenomorphs to prove that they are worthy of being adult predators, which is a mad little concept, but it's a fun little concept. But these humans have discovered it, and they want to find out what's actually down there. They don't actually know it's a predator hunting ground, and they find themselves in this little battle between these xenomorphs and these predators that seem to happen every 100 years or something, and they just happen to go there when this battle is ensuing. But what I will say is there is some fun to be had with the predators fighting the xenomorphs here. You know, it's what it says on the tin, basically. Lance Henriksen was good in this. I mean, he's not the same character or anything, but, you know, he was acting his ass off as usual. You know, he's a great actor anyway, and some of the other characters were fine. The main protagonist, or female character, does a great job here, I feel. But where my problems lie is some of the costume design just look like kind of rubber suits. I mean, these predators, you can just tell they were men in Halloween costumes running around. And my biggest problem with this movie, out of anything, is when shit hits the fan, a predator teams up with our main female protagonist in this movie. And there is one moment where they are running from some xenomorphs, and this pit is, I think it's like opening up, and they have to jump across to grab hold and pull themselves up before this pit opens too wide. And my last image of this movie is just seeing Kate and this predator running together to get away from the xenomorph. So it is absolutely ridiculous, but there is fun to be had there. You know, I was just watching it going, okay, I'm just going to leave my brain at the door here and try and have some fun with it. And I did. But it is my least favourite film out of all 9 of these movies. And there is some very off-screen kills. It goes for the PG-13 rating there, or the 12A rating here in the UK. So yeah, it failed in that department. Aliens and Predator movies should be an 18 or R-rated, let's be honest. So 9th place is Alien vs Predator. Coming up next, we do have Alien vs Predator Requiem. Now, I have looked up the word Requiem, and I just don't know where they got that subtitle from at all, with the meaning of it and stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. But maybe you guys know why they've called it that, and you can let me know in the comments down below. But it's like they just pulled a random word and said, yeah, we'll put that as the subtitle. Oh man, I think I'm still laughing at that last moment with the Predator running with, you know, the main character of the movie. But anyway, Aliens vs Predator Requiem. I have been led to believe that this was the worst movie ever made. I mean, I've heard so many people put it in their top 10 worst movies of all time and everything. But maybe I have my expectations so low that I actually enjoyed it a little bit more than I thought I would have. So this one sort of takes place on Earth. I know it did in the first movie, but that is all in the Antarctic and stuff. This one is taking place in, the cities of America. And I can't quite remember. It might have been Colorado. But basically, this predator is pissed off because at the end of Alien vs Predator, a hybrid of an alien slashed with a xenomorph has chest bursted through this predator, and it's starting to kill off, the predators and stuff. And this predator, this main predator on the planet, hears news of this. I know it sounds ridiculous. And comes down and starts to kill off the xenomorph. So it's basically just one predator in this movie versus a load of xenomorphs. And I kind of like that more simplified concept a little bit, even though it does sound ridiculous. And I really liked it went for the hard R rating here. Like, there are some really gnarly kills in this movie. There are children being killed, which is, I'm not saying that's a good thing or anything, but it goes for it. I mean, it does not hold back. There is a hospital scene in this movie, which is like, holy shit, what's going to happen here? I mean, it doesn't give a damn. It goes for that full R rating, basically. And there's some really good kills, some really good gore in there, I feel. And I just like the more simplified version of the story. It's basically just these characters trying to get out of the city while this predator and these xenomorphs are wreaking havoc around the city. The characters in this movie are not great. I mean, there's no one really to get behind. I mean, they are all actors that I haven't seen in any other movies before. Maybe that's just the amount of movies I've seen, but I did not recognize one face from this film. And it's no surprise they haven't gone on to bigger and better things, put it that way. And yeah, it was a very dark movie. I mean, that's the biggest complaint that loads of people have with Aliens vs Predator Requiem. And there are some certain scenes involving the sewer moments, or moments that are in like the hospital and stuff, or the high school interior moments, where it is very dark. I mean, I just don't know what they were doing with the lighting here. I don't know if that was effect they went for, or it was just bad filmmaking. So yeah, that is a one complaint I do get about the movie. But overall, I don't think it was too bad, and I enjoyed it more than the first film. So that is Aliens vs Predator Requiem. Next up, we have Alien Covenant. Now, I've got to admit, when I went to the cinema in 2017 to watch this, I was really disappointed. And I haven't rewatched it since until now, but after liking Prometheus a hell of a lot more on rewatch, this one has definitely grown on me. Granted, it is bottom of the original franchise timeline for me, but like I said, I enjoyed all these movies, especially the original timeline. So yeah, I think what helps this movie is there's a lot more xenomorph action in this one, where Prometheus hardly had any of that, and Alien fans kind of wanted a bit more, so they thought they had to throw the xenomorph action in there. And I do think it does help the film in that department, because you don't want to make a second movie like Prometheus and stray too far from your original source material, do you? Now, and also there are some really very gnarly kills in this. A shower scene, one of the best moments in the franchise for me, one of the best kills there, I think. The CGI is not the best, but I've seen worse in these franchises. But it does work for what it's going for. I really liked all the different types of xenomorphs that we have here, like the early species of these things, where we have a neomorph and a pratomorph, which was a very dangerous thing. This is all according to Alien Wiki. But really, Scott carries on his through line of creation here, and this is the second chapter of the David trilogy that he had planned. We have not got the third one yet, but I hope we do get it after seeing these again. Whether that will happen, who knows? But David is a great character, played by Michael Fassbender, and you are, for the first 30, 40 minutes wondering what happened to him and Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, the movie dangles the carrot there to say, yeah, we are going to let you know that's where we're sort of headed. And I think the film is visually stunning, just like Prometheus. Not as good, but it's much more in darker tone. Like, this has a much more horror aspect to it. I think some of my problems lay within the fact that the characters are forgettable. Like, this is probably the movie with the least likable characters. I think they all do a job, but none of them really stand out. Even like the main sort of protagonist in the movie, they don't really bring much. Michael Fassbender is the only memorable character in this film. But I think my biggest problem with the entire movie is that something is missing. Like, Ridley Scott had another plan here to carry this little trilogy on that he had, and it just feels like a very middle movie of this trilogy. It feels like it wants to carry something on. You can't just go into it and watch it on its own, in my opinion. I feel like you've got to watch Prometheus and then this. And some of the best trilogies, like Empire Strikes Back, you can go into that middle section and just watch it and have a good time with it without watching the other two. That is not going to be the case here with Covenant, even though there isn't a third movie yet. But, you know, it was the original plan. It just feels like a very middle chapter. Let's put it that way. But overall, it's not bad. I quite enjoyed it on rewatch. It's a decent little alien flick. So that is Alien Covenant. Next up, we have Alien Resurrection. Now, I remember not really liking this film at all on many rewatches, but this time, it kind of just worked for me. Now, you've got to go into this movie kind of like the Aliens vs Predator films and just feel like it's a little bit ridiculous. Although this does it a lot better than the Alien vs Predator films. It wears its heart on its sleeves. It knows it can't match the quality of the first two films, and it just tries to be a fun alien flick. Set 200 years after the events of Alien 3, Ellen Ripley is sort of cloned again, but it's not really a full Ellen Ripley. She's kind of an anti-hero here, which is interesting. She's kind of like a robot at times. I mean, she's not, but just the way she's acting with her personality and stuff. However, she is a more advanced person of that kick-ass character we had in Alien and Aliens and Alien 3, where she can just sort of beat the shit out of people and stuff. So, interesting take on her character for this one, and definitely a different take from Sigourney Weaver there. But I do like the other cast of characters in this movie. Ron Perlman, who's this total arsehole, but you kind of grow to like him as more as the movie goes on. Winona Ryder, who's playing this android in this movie, probably my favourite character in the film, to be honest. She's the one you kind of get behind, and who the one who you see the movie through her eyes mostly. It's got a great action set piece with the xenomorphs swimming after these characters, and it's a really tense moment. It's all this big setup where they come out the water finally and just a load of face hugging eggs there. Thought that was a really awesome moment, and to be honest, I think it's one of the best moments in the entire Alien franchise. There's a lot of fun to be had here. My biggest gripe with the movie is that the final 20 minutes with this half-human type hybrid thing that's going on with the xenomorph, it looked ridiculous. I mean, I do not like the design of this creature at all, and you've got to execute it right. Now, is another movie in this list that does execute it right, but I think Alien Resurrection is a bad example of having a new idea, but just not nailing it down. And it just did not work for me at all. I kind of wish they did not do that, but kudos for trying, I suppose. It's also got a very 90s look to it. Now, I have grown to appreciate that 90s feel in these horror movies that kind of just always have this feeling toward it. And with the visual style, I never used to like it, but nostalgia does get the better of me now, and I've kind of grown to like that sort of visual filter that these movies have. But yeah, Alien Resurrection was a really fun time this time, and I kind of liked it. I couldn't believe that I never used to like this movie. But when we see it through adult eyes and many, many more rewatches, lots of movies can change this way for us, can't they now? So that is Alien Resurrection. Next up, we have Alien 3. A lot of people would have this at the bottom of their list. even below the Alien vs Predator films, because of the opening 10 minutes where they kill off the characters from the second Alien film. And to be honest, it is kind of an unforgivable decision, and it just makes the second movie feel redundant, to put it that way. And yeah, it does leave a sour taste in the mouth through the rest of this movie. But if you can look past that, I really do think there's a decent little Alien film in here. Now, David Fincher, who has abandoned this movie, to be honest, because there's too much studio interference, he doesn't even think it's his movie no more. And no one hates this film as much as him. Those are his words. He basically brings back to the horror roots of the first movie, where we just have one xenomorph in this film, not like the second movie where there's lots of aliens. And some people might not like that, but you know what? I think it was okay. It just shows how dangerous the xenomorph actually is. And this is all taking place on this prison planet. And these characters don't have any weapons, really, so it makes them even more vulnerable. And the xenomorph just has a massive advantage on all of them. Kind of works like a slasher film at times, where, you know, or the slasher formula, where this alien is just picking off characters one by one. There's some really gnarly deaths in here, especially involving Charles Dance's character, but also another one where this character is forced into this massive fan by the xenomorph, and he's just chopped into bits. Yeah, I mean, it really does go for it with the gore, more than the first two films, yeah. But I do think there's a good set of characters here, especially the prisoners. You know, you got Peace Postlethwaite in there. Charles Dance is excellent in this movie. I just think he stands out in every movie that I see him in. He's just awesome. You got Sigourney Weaver reprising her role as Ripley here with her shaved head, which is, I believe, was a big talking point back in the day, but no, I just didn't even think twice about it when I watched it this time. And this was the assembly cut, which I've heard is a lot better than the original theatrical cut. I can't really remember too much about the theatrical cut. I've only seen this movie a couple of times in my life, but each time I've really liked it. And I don't really, like, I do get the hate, but this is still a decent Alien film if it isn't for the first 10 minutes. I will say there's a very bleak ending here, which might not hit for a lot of people, but I think they had a bit of bravery to do that, to be honest. And it's a crazy little ending, I will say. So yeah, having these prisoners as well on this prison planet, it gives something else for Ripley to look out for. It's not just the xenomorph. She's got to kind of watch her back with these prisoners as well, because they are locked up with life sentences. They haven't seen a woman in years, so that makes her even more vulnerable. But what I will say is, I think if they did keep them characters alive from the second movie, this could have been a good little us against the world thing, and this family dynamic they could have had going on here with Ripley, you know, Hicks and Newt. I know they weren't romantically involved or anything, but I just think that would have acted as a good little family dynamic to bring into this movie. Kind of a wasted opportunity, but I really enjoyed Alien 3. I thought it was, yeah, a decent Alien flick, and nice to see it go back to its horror roots. So that is Alien 3. In fourth place, we do have Prometheus. Now, this is a film that I did not like the first time I went to see it, because of the marketing, really. I remember all these images being released of the Whaling Corp, and, you know, Ridley Scott was getting back into the Alien franchise and stuff, and I just expected an Alien film, and I did not get that, really. But on this rewatch, with time flying by, I think I can learn to appreciate this movie now. I had a great time with this film on this rewatch. Absolutely brilliant casting there, by the way. Michael Fassbender, again, as David, is amazing in this movie. You got Charlize Theron in there, Idris Elba with his American accent and stuff. It's a really stacked cast. Noomi Rapace as well as Dr. Elizabeth Shaw. I've always liked her as an actress, and she is the main protagonist in this movie that you kind of get behind. But what Ridley Scott's going for here is a movie about creation, about mankind, how we were created and stuff, and he really does go for it and kind of takes a massive swing while sprinkling the Alien franchise in there. And when I rewatched this, I was actually more impressed that he managed to connect this to the Alien franchise, because it is such a different movie with what it goes for. But a visually stunning film, absolutely gorgeous to look at. I only watched this on Blu-ray, so I can't even imagine what the 4K would look like, but I was blown away. This looks like a movie that was made today, not 12 years ago. So it just shows his filmmaking prowess there. I loved all the vehicle design, the costume design. You know, just some of the action sets sequences in here, you know, with that big storm that comes and hits, and also when Numa Rapace's character, Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, has got to get this creature out of it, and that is such a tense moment. Another great moment in the Alien franchise, one of the best there. And I just really think this was a good, interesting, and brave decision by Ridley Scott to go in this direction. He clearly has this world in his mind and he wants to put it on screen. He kind of knows where everything's happening, where all the nuts and bolts are, and he just knows this universe in his head. And maybe we will never know the full extent of that universe if we don't get the third movie. But man, I think this is a great effort and absolutely brilliant sci-fi story. Yeah, a movie that, one of them movies that has grown on me on rewatch, and I love it when that happens. So in fourth place is Prometheus. Okay guys, we are getting into the big three now, and I absolutely adore all three of these movies. I mean, man, I just watch them anytime, even though one of them is very, very new, and that's where we're going to start in third place, and that is Alien Romulus. Now, I went to see this movie a couple of days ago, and I have not got it out of my head. I cannot stop thinking about this movie. I absolutely loved this film. What Fede Alvarez brought to this franchise, he's kept it going with the consistency, and it is one of the best movies in this franchise. For a long time, I've wanted one of these films, even though I've grown to appreciate Prometheus and Covenant. I've just wanted a great Alien movie that kind of harks back to the first two, and I think he found a really great balance here with a little bit of a slow burn, and then once it starts kicking into gear, it goes for it. And there are many Easter eggs in here for Alien fans and Aliens fans, and some of it people will say it's a little bit too much. I don't think that, but there are one or two moments that didn't really land for me. Most of the fan service here is excellent, in my opinion. I think some of the set pieces that Fede Alvarez sets up here are great. One involving some xenomorph blood that I didn't really ever think that we would see in the franchise, but that was an awesome moment, I thought. Also, the score, the sound design, the visual style. I mean, he's just nailed everything. They all hark back to the original Alien movie, where they all feel like they are definitely part of this universe. It just sits in there so nicely. And I believe he even got some of the sound design from that first film and implemented it into here and used some of the crew and stuff who worked on that movie, which is just impressive. So Fede Alvarez, well done, sir. You are really a true Alien fan, and he has the Alien fans at heart here. I think there's a great bunch of characters in this movie, but there are two in particular that you really do get behind, and Kaylee Spaney, who's a great protagonist, I feel, for this film. I mean, as the movie goes on, you sort of see her character grow, kind of like Ripley did. I mean, she's not Ellen Ripley, of course she's not, but she sort of makes this character her own, and I really liked it when she was kicking ass with this very creative machine gun, like this pulse rifle that they made. I thought that was an awesome bit of weapon design there, something I haven't really seen in a movie before. I thought that was great. No, just like another neat idea to throw in there, basically. Also, we do have Andy, who is this android, who is basically Haley Spaney's brother, or she calls him his brother, and she is kind of looking after him in this movie and stuff. But man, the range David Johnson shows with this character is unbelievable. I mean, he is the most interesting character in this movie by far, and one of the most interesting characters in the entire franchise. I absolutely loved what he did with this android and this synthetic, if you want to call it that. And it definitely explores the synthetics a little bit more in this film. So yeah, adding a bit more lore to that, adding a little bit more to the Wayland Tech company. You know, we see a lot of how that works and how the gears turn at the start of the film for the first 20 minutes and stuff. That was interesting. There's a third act in this movie that is going to divide fans with this film. And I don't think everyone is going to appreciate it. But what Fede Alvarez did was take a massive swing, a massive risk. And for me, it paid off. I absolutely loved what he did with this third act. It is pure horror, like most of the movie is. But this moment, man, it just goes for it in the horror department. I loved what he brought here. And there are some great kills in this movie as well. Some really I wouldn't say it's over gory, but there are some painful deaths, let's put it that way. I just loved everything about this movie. Apart from maybe that one or two little moments of the fan service and some CGI that was used on a certain character's face. But these are minor nitpicks. And for this to be in third place just shows the power of the first two films. So yeah, Alien Romulus, cannot wait to go and see this again. So that is Alien Romulus in third place. Coming in second place is going to be Ridley Scott's Alien. Yes, I know a lot of people think this is the best movie in the franchise, and that is fair enough. It is really split down the middle, which is your favourite. But in second place for me is the original film from 1979. Now, don't get me wrong, Ridley Scott is the absolute master of slow burn here. It's a very creative film, what he did. I mean, just the world he builds here, the set design on the Nostromo, just every little bit of detail is there to be seen on screen. Ridley Scott waves the camera around like a wand just so you can see everything. I mean, it's a wonderful film to look at. So inventive, and for the time, absolutely groundbreaking. Let's put it that way. So this is the ultimate slow burn where we see these characters who've got the distress call, and they have to go and check it out. It's kind of part of their, mission. They're like a side objective. If this comes up, they have to go and check it out. And when they get there to this planet, they discover a bunch of eggs, and one of these facehuggers jumps onto John Hurt's character, and obviously the most infamous chest burst scene happens where the xenomorph is born, and we see the xenomorph for the first time on screen. And I can just imagine cinema audiences in that moment in 1979. If I could be transported back to one moment in film history, it will probably be then. I don't think it's one of the best moments in horror. I think it's one of the best moments in cinema, period. It's just such a tense scene, and you kind of just looking at it for the first time going, what the hell is happening here? And then it kind of ensues into a sort of cat and mouse game with this xenomorph. Really like the characters in this movie. You kind of don't know who the main protagonist is going to be until a bit later on in the film, but I like how the film slowly makes us latch onto Ripley because she is the one who's smart. She doesn't really want to let people who are infected onto the ship and cause even more damage. She's the one they should have listened to prevent all of this from happening. And we even got like androids thrown in there with Ash and stuff. I mean, it's just so creative from Ridley Scott. I mean, for him to imagine this, look what he's done now. We are 9 movies later, and this world, this lore, this universe has all been put to screen because of this movie. And like I said, he's got that universe in his head. He knows how it all clicks, and it all started with this one. I mean, such a great movie, man. It took me a while to sort of get used to it. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, that was okay. But the more I've watched it over the years, I think it's an absolute masterpiece in sci-fi horror. And the xenomorph, designed by H.R. Giger, I mean, man, what a great design that is. I mean, I couldn't think that up off the top of your head, could you, if that hadn't been designed already. I mean, these 2 little mouths coming out with acid blood and stuff, with this big, long head. I mean, it's one of the best monsters ever created in cinema history, isn't it? And one of the most dangerous, that's for sure. So in second place is Alien. Coming in first place, we do have James Cameron's Aliens. Now, I will not argue with anyone who says James Cameron is the greatest filmmaker of all time. For me, personally, I do have Quentin Tarantino, but James Cameron, the older I get, the more I rewatch his films, is a close second for me. The man is an absolute genius. He knows how to make great stories, he knows how to make great characters, and he knows how to do great action set pieces. And it is all on display in this movie. This is how you do a sequel. This is a lesson in sequel making. He took the concept of Alien and sort of turned it on its head a little bit. Whereas Alien was a sci-fi horror masterpiece, this one, he goes in and turns it into an sci-fi action masterpiece with the horror elements sprinkled in there. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this movie every time I talk about it. There is so many great things that it has going for it. mainly the characters. I mean, I love being around this group of Marines. They all have personality. They are all fun to be around. They have great dialogue. They have great one-liners. And they have Ripley in the centre of it, who is one of the greatest female protagonists of all time. And I like how the movie goes on here that she is the most kick-ass character of them all. Even though they are these big grunts and they're really tough guys, Ripley is the kick-ass one. She's the toughest of them lot, and it all is shown by that third act. But I mean, it's got a great story there about motherhood, where Ripley has sort of lost her daughter, and she sees Newt as this new way of being a mother, and she's got to look after this girl. Man, it's perfect. It is a perfect movie. I watch this film, and as it's going on, I think to myself every time, how do movies get better than this? And the answer is, they don't. Because they just don't. It doesn't have any negatives about this film. The writing is spot on. Everything comes together. It's an amazing movie. It really is. The third act, man, is probably the best third act I've ever seen in a film, where Ripley has to go after Newt into this dangerous location and rescue her from this fucking massive queen alien. I mean, come on, man. That is just oozes coolness, doesn't it? Great score in there. I mean, the fact that there's a lot more aliens in this one instead of just one alien is, the stakes are even raised more there. I love this film. I will always love it, and I'll always continue to watch it every few months as long as I live. So in first place is James Cameron's Aliens.
That's it, man. It's game over, man. It's game over.
Okay, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this ranking. Please do leave your rankings down below of the Alien franchise. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Is there one or two you change here and there? Please do let me know. And don't forget to check out all my Alien reviews in the link down below. I'll also have some other rankings down there, guys. I've done Sleepaway Camp, The Evil Dead. So please do go and check them out if you want some more funnish videos here. So thanks so much, guys. If horror is your sort of thing, please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. It really helped me out. Thanks so much. You take care, and I'll see you on the next video.